There was a time in which everyone seemed excited for a new Ubisoft game. The hype would build up, and the game would end up being absolutely amazing in most aspects. Over the last few years, however, Ubisoft's respect amongst the whole gaming community has dwindled due to countless downgrades, empty open worlds, and mediocre character and story. Today, I'm going to answer the question: is Ubisoft a bad company? As we all know, Ubisoft isn't close to perfect. This is reflected in the recent years and the way they've been handling their games, such as Assassin's Creed or the Tom Clancy games, bar Rainbow Six Siege because people seem to love that game, which shows that Ubisoft aren't all that bad. We've all seen the company fall from being a respectable company to a company that is known for downgrading games and having open world games that are miles wide but centimeters deep. Their open world games lack depth. This is something that our old games had, with mysterious underlying stories in the early Assassin's Creed games, the uniqueness of gameplay and feel in Far Cry, and the fun puzzle sections in Prince of Persia. But recently, their games have been lacking something, and we've all noticed it. First of all, I feel as if Ubisoft have great ideas for games. Things like Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, The Division, and Ghost Recon Wildlands are all really cool ideas for games, but their problem is in the execution. It seems that recently, they focus too much on how big they can make a game's open world, opposed to focusing on more important elements, such as story and characters, that overall make the game. This ends with huge, vast open worlds, but with nothing to do in them, but a few side quests and a ridiculous amount of collectibles that offer practically no reward to the player. Games like CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3 or Guerrilla's Horizon Zero Dawn do open world experiences very well, because they are packed with not only a great overarching story, but also the games are very centered around the player's overall experience and how they forge their own story in this world. Maybe not quite as much as the Elder Scrolls does it, but enough to make your experience feel personal to you as a player. This is touched upon in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, in which the game has the overall story, but it also has amazing exploration and many side activities for you to do in a huge open world. Yes, there are collectibles, but the world has lots to do, so there's little chance of getting bored doing the same thing over and over again, like picking up animus fragments that doesn't really benefit you in any way. Ubisoft really needs to focus less on how big they can make their world, and focus more on the experiences, side quests, and interactability of the world, so we can build our own stories in the game, instead of having a massive open world with absolutely nothing of interest to do in them. Secondly, the different characters in Ubisoft games of recent years have been straight up forgettable or irritating. Be it Jacob and Eve from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, or Marcus, Wrench, Josh, and Sitara from Watch Dogs 2. I don't need to mention the cringy lines that come from some of the characters in Watch Dogs 2, like, that's just awful.
We're gonna hit him where it gigahertz.
Yeah, that made me cringe on a whole new fucking level. I'm sure many people disagree with me on this, but let's face it, characters like Ezio are still the face of Assassin's Creed, because that was when the series was in its glory days, when Ubisoft were able to create amazing characters and stories almost effortlessly. Now it seems as if they're struggling to create new stories and sets of characters to complement each other. However, this is not entirely the teams that are working on the game's fault. Ubisoft love money. Like any other company, they want to make as much money as possible, obviously. But sometimes, this means they release unfinished games, such as Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, because that is a deadline in which the game needs to be out. The developers have little say in when the game needs to come out, as they are merely working on the project, they are not selling it in stores. The deadlines ultimately come down to Yves Guillemot, and he seemed adamant on yearly releases, especially for Assassin's Creed. And this is why the series and the company fell. Pumping out games is easy, but pumping out good games that people will praise is a whole other story. Look at games like Red Dead Redemption or The Last of Us. These games are held in extremely high regard by fans, and that is because they take 5+ years before actually releasing another game. Red Dead Redemption came out in 2010, and is only getting a sequel this year, 7 years later. And The Last of Us came out in 2013, and the sequel has only just been announced, and probably won't come out for another few years. These games have had time put into them, and it really shows with the respect that developers like Naughty Dog and Rockstar have. Whereas Ubisoft release so many games each year, and even have multiple games of the same franchise being worked on at once, so they can keep pumping out the games year after year. This is why the quality of their games in terms of story, characters, open world, and how the game works in general has been lacking in recent years. And it's kind of upsetting to see a company that we all used to love be led astray from greatness. Ubisoft may have handled games very badly before, but it seems that only very recently they have improved. They obviously announced they were taking a year off to make the next Assassin's Creed game better. They haven't done this since the gap between Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2 from 2007 to 2009, which is insane because we've had yearly releases up until like then, and I truly believe that this is a step in the right direction for the company. I feel as if Ubisoft realise they have not handled things as well as they could have recently, and that they really wanted to create products that fans will love. They seem to be interacting more with fans on social media, asking them what they want included in various different games. And they also recently held a Q&A on Reddit answering any questions that fans have about Assassin's Creed. This is really good to see because Ubisoft used to be very much in touch with the community, and I'd love to see interaction like this take place more regularly. And who knows, maybe they'll come out of their dark years and become great again like they once were. I just hope they decide to delay other games too and keep yearly releases at a minimum so they can have more time to develop their games and produce the games that we deserve as fans. This means they have more time to develop the games, make the worlds have more depth, create characters that grab our attention that we can grow to love, and just generally create open world experiences that can rival Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, Guerrilla, Bethesda, and many more. I'd like to see Assassin's Creed held in such high regard like it used to be as Ubisoft's best franchise, and for it to actually be a contender for Game of the Year, opposed to just being buggy, boring, and downgraded like the majority of Ubisoft games recently. So to answer the question, no, I don't think that Ubisoft is completely bad, because there are many people working on various different games that only want the best for us fans. They have amazing ideas for games, but they lack in execution in terms of story, characters, and open world aspects. They are certainly not a perfect company by any means, especially compared to other open world developers, but I really hope to see that with the release of the next Assassin's Creed game, that the game blows everyone away and that Ubisoft can be praised by the gaming community and its fans once again. That's the end of the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe for more content in the future. Please show your support on this video because I've worked really hard on it, and yeah, that's basically the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.